Well, I got this little booger on a little caddis larva. Yeah, just nymphing. Before I leave this hole, I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave any trout unattended. Hey, I'm Mike at Northwest School of Fly Fishing, the old fish hobo. You know what? There's a strategy in everything in fly fishing. God knows there's so much stuff in fly fishing, rods, reels, etymology, and all that stuff. But there is a strategy to dry fly fishing, and there's a strategy to nymph fishing. Unlike dry fly fishing, where the strategies can be very, very obvious. I mean, you know, at 1 o'clock you're supposed to see a blue-winged olive hatch, and you see blue-winged olives flying all over the river. You see them floating down the river, and you see fish eating blue-winged olives. It's a pretty good opening strategy to put on a blue-winged olive. That's not the way it is in nymphing. In nymphing, you're unclear on what kind of strategy you're going to use. Number one, you don't see fish rising, so you don't know what fish are eating, and you're left to nymph fish because of that. But it does leave a strategy an unclear thing. It's something that is important in fly fishing. When you go to nymphing, oftentimes we just put anything on, or we use what we used last time. There's no real thought or cerebral energy put into an opening strategy in nymphing. And a lot of that is because we don't see fish rising, and we're kind of confused, and all rivers look the same. But you do have to have an opening strategy at least, and you are stuck in the sense that you can't see fish in the river when you're nymphing, and you don't even know where your nymphs are in the river when you're fishing. Once they go in, they're just going to go straight line through. The only thing you can do is move them towards you. You can't adjust your nymphs underwater like you can as a dry fly fishing. So it kind of leaves you in a quandrum of that. And every river is different. You know, tailwater, it doesn't matter if it's a tailwater or freestone. All rivers are different, and they're all rivers are the same, and all rivers are different. And how we nymph fish one river is not how we're going to nymph another river. However, there is some science to this. Some science suggest that up to 45% of what a trout eats during our summer season, and that can be spring through into fall, up to 45% of what they're going to eat are mayfly nymphs or mayfly adults. And up to 45% of what trout are going to eat during that season, our summer season, are going to be caddis in their adult or larval form. Regardless of whether you believe that science or not, one thing is certain: trout love mayfly nymphs, and they love caddis larvae. That leaves us back to what kind of strategy should we open up with. We just arrived to a river, and there it is. And you may never have fished it before, or you have fished it before. It doesn't really matter, but you have to start somewhere. So if you take anything from the science of some of the studies they made on nymphing and what trout prefer to eat and what they don't prefer to eat, it's a good idea as an opening strategy on a river to give them what they like. So typically anglers are nymphing with 2 flies or 2 nymphs. So one of those, if you believe in the science, up to 90% of what a trout eats during the summer season are mayfly nymphs and caddis larvae, then let's put one of each on, and that would be a good opening strategy, excluding the obvious. And the obvious would be, there's obviously a stonefly hatch, there's obviously a midge hatch, or any other kind of hatch on the water. You have that basis covered now. So some rivers, trout really love the mayfly nymph. Some rivers, they really love the caddis nymph. So put both on, or caddis larvae, put both on, and let them tell you what they want. I found over the decades that the pattern that I like to use is called a caddis larva. and you can find that on discountflies.com, and it comes in two different colors, more of a tan and a really green. And how this pattern is tied is it's tied dark, kind of a translucent green or a translucent brown. What makes it translucent is they're using a clear ribbing around it, and it just brings that out to the trout's vision. And over the years, I've found that this, by far, over any other caddis larva pattern out there, really seems to key these fish onto it. And I think a lot of it has to do with a trout's vision. So a trout sees differently underwater than we do in the sense of how they view color. Trout have one more rod and one more cone in their eyes, and it allows them to see color different than we do. So the deeper, darker your nymphs are underwater, the more translucent they become. So when you have a fly, it's almost, this caddis pattern is almost like a light bulb inside of it, and it really gets those trout to hit. So after I've caught a couple of trout on the caddis larva, I'll instantaneously go with 2. And now I'm on my way. So the caddis larva should be something that is in your fly box, and if you're going to have an opening strategy, and then that should be one of the flies that you tie on. What I mean by opening strategy is I'm not saying you need to fish this all day. I'm just saying is your opening round, have some thought and have a beginning, and later on you can change your strategy, add a San Juan worm or on a stonefly or a different pattern. That all makes sense from a logical standpoint. He's going to go back upriver again. Got him. Yeah, that's a good sized trout for this river. Again, he took that, this caddis larva there. There he is. Nice. Fish. I have found that over the decades, the caddis larva pattern that you see in this video is unquestionably the best larva pattern that I have ever used. Now, I've been fly fishing for 60 years, and I've been fly fishing the rivers of the Northwest exclusively for the last 35 years. And it is always the fly that I go to. Now, I have had cases where I've tied on this caddis larva and it's not catching any fish, so I put on another type of pattern. That's not. At the end of the day, I've had 2 or 3 different caddis larva patterns on there, and then I end up putting the original one on, the original caddis larva pattern, and I start catching fish. So I can tell you, just recently, over the last month, I have fished 5 rivers. 4 of those were freestone rivers, and on the first river that I went to, I had on a caddis larva. And I caught a lot of fish on it, and the next week I was on another freestone river and I caught fish on that, and the following week on another river it was that, and for 4 freestone rivers in that 1 month period, I caught fish on the caddis larva. I didn't lose the fly. I never lost the fly. I'm drop shotting, you rarely lose flies, but I never took that fly off. I just put it in my rod locker and off I went. And then I went to, within the same week, I went to a tailwater river, pulled out my nymph rod, and there's that caddis larva on there. And I started nymphing with that, and sure enough, I'm catching fish on that. So it's a good idea to have that opening strategy, regardless of what nymphs that you have now or what caddis larvae you have now, not this one that I use. You certainly can find that on Discount Flies. Just get on discountflies.com and in the search bar type caddis larvae, and it's going to be the first one you see. Regardless if you have that or not, the science tells us you should be fishing some sort of caddis larva pattern. And what I'm telling you today is this caddis larva pattern for this old fish hobo is the one that I go to almost exclusively. So if I can't catch fish on this caddis larva pattern, I have learned that changing that to another caddis pattern is not going to do me any good at all. So it's best just to, after a while I've been fly fishing river, you know, I can't catch any fish, or they're not taking that caddis larva. At that point, it's best that I don't put another caddis larva on, and so on and so forth. Now you get into the cerebral part of fly fishing or nymphing in general, and it becomes a game of cat and mouse, and it becomes a game of where's the fly that's working. But in the last few years, within recent memory, I can't recall a time when I'm nymph fishing that I didn't catch any fish, and I can't recall a time when I didn't catch fish on this caddis larva. So this is just an old fish hobo who spends his time helping people get better at fly fishing. Take it what it's worth. I've told you about this pattern. I told you where you can get it. You probably won't find it in the fly shop. You know, you probably won't find it there. You may, but you may not. Or you may find a pattern very much like it. But by and by, if you find me on the water, if you see me out there nymph fishing, chances are you'll see me with a caddis larva on one of my two flies. And with that said, hopefully somewhere down the road, I'll see you on the river.